Hey, does anyone know what kind of fly this is? I thought it was just a annoying little fly. It's not really little because if you can see, it looks like it's eating that honeybee, which I didn't even know they ate that, but I was just looking at it and realized that it has a honeybee in its mouth. It seems to be sucking on it. I'm pretty sure that they're not kissing. So whatever kind of fly it is, it must eat honeybees, which I want to save my honeybees because, they're a great pollinator and I don't want to get rid of them. But I have no idea what kind of fly this is. And I don't see many of it, thankfully, but this is definitely something I don't want to attract in my garden if they're going to come and eat my pollinators. So, I mean, this is the size it really is. I'm sorry, I'm zooming in and out so you can kind of see the size of it, but when I do that, the camera doesn't want to zoom in on the fly. But you can see how big it is in comparison to that little honeybee it has in its mouth. You see it? So that's a honeybee. And that is the fly. It looks like it's some kind of ginormous fly that is like a dragonfly, but not really. But I didn't know that they were carnivore. Would it be considered carnivore? Insectivore? If they eat other insects, I guess? Anyways, it's something new to me. I'm sorry my camera doesn't want to keep zooming in. But I definitely, if you guys can help me and tell me what it is. There it goes. But that's something I definitely don't want to, keep in my garden if it's going to eat all my wonderful honeybees. But on a side note, I'm just out in my garden looking around to see what is currently doing, thriving in the beginning months of September. I got it in zone 8A. It looks like my salvia right here is doing great. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact variety it is, but it's a salvia and the bees are loving it. You can see some bumblebee just flying from one to the next. And then this is my vermillionaire. Definitely a great pollinator attractor, but mostly hummingbirds for these guys. And I think this is a pineapple sage, and that I planted just one little tiny one. It is overgrown by quite a bit. So beginning of September, and it looks like my vermillionaire, pineapple sage, and salvia is doing great. Also over here, butterfly bush is doing great. My crepe myrtles are starting to bloom. They bring some great color. And if you look this way, there's my hydrangea. I think that's Pinky Winky right there in the lace cap looking one. And then the limelight hydrangea is all the way back there. Hear this hummingbird. That's all I hear. Oh, here's another one. It looks like they love it just as much as the hummingbirds. Look how heavy they are, and they land on each little flower trying to get the nectar. That's kind of fun to watch. Over here, I had to cut back, but this is, I want to say it's a Veronica, I think. But it's like, it gets to be like 3 feet tall, so I had to shear it all the way back. I have some other Veronicas over here that's more ground cover. They're not doing very good. I'm not very happy with them, but I think maybe they require better soil than what we have over here. Mainly over here, I have a very thick layer of mulch that I put down, and then it's basically just your typical red clay in Georgia. Basically, I till this whole entire bed, so put nutrients in it and then mulch it. And I think the mulch layering is going to be really good for it. It'll turn the soil, and it'll help to put nutrients back into the soil. Let's see. So those those Veronicas are doing great, but like I said, they get to be as big as the Salvias over here, if not bigger. And I just did a really hard shear like maybe 3 weeks ago. So they're doing great, pushing back, pushing up new growth. Over here I have my Hearty Hibiscus. I cannot remember the name of this one, but there are so many different varieties out there. But look at that, isn't she gorgeous? This one's kind of spent right here. It's afternoon, but it's starting to close up, but when it was open it was beautiful. They are really dinner size, and they're very showy. Like if I scoop back, if you just look at them, I mean, look at that pop it brings. So imagine if there's like all these little tiny buds, if they all bloom, look at what you can get. Isn't that beautiful? And they take a while to push out, the Hearty Hibiscus, not the tropical one. So the Hearty Hibiscus will completely die all the way back to the ground, and then they send up new shoots. And look at them. I mean, look at those hardy stems that come up from the ground. Like, look at these guys. I mean, they don't look very big in the camera, I know, but if you look at it, it's amazing how much growth they push out. And they did their main flush, and you can see I was having problem with these little tiny little caterpillars that were eating the leaves, basically decimating them. But I put down 7 powder. You can see some remnants of it still, and it seems to have helped them. And then I'm getting new flesh coming out. But basically, they need super heat in order to start coming out. So they are late in pushing growth. But once they do, you can see it's still September and they still have new buds that's growing for me. Over here, I have some more butterfly bush, all different kinds. I don't remember the name. I do apologize. But look at this color. Isn't it beautiful? This is like your rich, I want to say, true bluish color. Because you got your lavender over here. You can see the different in variation of the two. The color of them. And then I think this one I can't remember. I should keep my flower tags. But when you get a flower, you're so excited you put them in the ground. Forget about the flower tag. And then when you're doing videos, you can't remember what they are, but I think this one is I want to say it's the Budlier. Well, they are all butterfly bush, but this is the compact one that is short and stubby. I can't remember what the name of it is. But the individual like little flower is really compact. This one's kind of the same way, whereas this one I think is Miss Molly. This one's not very healthy and I'm unsure why. But you can see the leaves are struggling. It's weird because I'll have all of them in the same area, like this one over here, and it's not struggling. And then of course this one all the way over here, which is doing amazing. And I actually trim the bottom, kind of like how you would a crepe myrtle. Trim all the way down to the bottom, and then I just get this huge big flush of flower. Isn't that beautiful? And then let's see what else is doing amazing over here. The hydrangeas, these ones are new, so they have just a couple of blooms on them, but they're doing great. Hydrangeas are the panicle hydrangeas. Those are the ones that are doing great in the fall time when everybody's kind of lulling away. Lamb's ear over here. She's doing good. Oh, look at this. So this is a beauty bush. I have a white one. See it? Isn't that pretty? So there's this white one, but there's different varieties. My neighbor has one that was purplish, and I tried to get a cutting to root it. But it didn't really turn out. It died. So I didn't get that one to grow. There is another one called Coralberry, which I think Proven Winner has. And I really want one of those. That one looks so pretty. But I don't have one. Sedum is still doing good. You guys definitely get sedum for Georgia red clay. Look at how well they're doing right now. When everything else is beating the heat and then finally starting to rest, sedum is still doing its thing. Over here, I don't really baby it too much. I put it out here, testing it out, see if it works. Heavily mulching it. This mulch, you guys, I got for free. I know it's not as fine grind as a lot of other ones you can get at the store, but come on, you can't beat free. Simplest way we did it, we tilled up this whole ground, and then I called a tree service company and I asked them if they have any mulch that they can bring and if it cost anything, and they said it's free because they have to dump the mulch somewhere. So it's better if they can dump it somewhere for free than having to pay to go dump the mulch. Because, you know, when you go get your, I don't know, tree service, they cut down limbs, they have to mulch that, and then, you know, they have to go dump that mulch. So if they can bring it to you, they'll willingly do it. So they brought, like, I think, I want to say 5 truckloads, and my husband, like, freaked out because he was like, what the hell are we going to do with 5 truckload of mulch? But look, I pretty much used it all. I actually need more. So amazingly enough, this whole bed took most of it. I put a really heavy layer of mulch on here and the ground is starting to look nice. But over here, I'm going to need some mulch. But I might just do leaf mulch on here because I don't want it to be, I don't want to use the extreme. You could see I put some over here and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it got washed off, but you can see it's like to the dirt now. So I'm going to have to put in an extra layer or 2. But over here is doing great. So sedum right now, a great plant to use. My hydrangeas, this is the big leaf. It's struggling with, I think we all have encountered the dreaded, you know, black spots. So I just let it be. Springtime, it was really pretty. I did a couple of deadheading to see if I can push some new growth, which I am getting some new growth, so maybe I can get some bud before the winter comes, but I'm not sure if I will get any. Over here, it looks like the Salvia is still doing good. Salvia, you guys, this variety right here is like the most prolific flower from spring all the way till now, and you can see, I mean, I deadhead this before and it's still pushing out new growth. This one is doing amazing job. Look how beautiful they are. So I actually am gonna plant some more of this. They're annual, so they probably won't survive the winter, but I'm gonna take some cutting and then I'm gonna root it inside, and then springtime come out, transplant it again. This is bee balm. They are very beautiful, and they finish and they flush, and then they look like this when they're done. So then I deadhead them and they're bushing out again. I'm not sure if I will get as many flowers as I did in the springtime, but they are beautiful, and at least they still retain their greenery, which is great from this area. Gonna have to remove this Hearty Hibiscus. This is what happens with those little bugs, the little caterpillar. They basically come and decimate your whole plant if you don't treat them in time. You can see new growth is trying to push out, so I'll need to make sure I monitor it. But eventually, I think I'm going to move this plant because it's kind of in the front, dead center. And you can see it doesn't look very pretty once it's been decimated by those caterpillars. So I think I'm going to remove that, put some more salvia right here, and just line this whole entire area, salvia and bee balms. I think that would be a great look. See how pretty they are? Behind here is the panicle hydrangea. You can see it's pushing new growth. This one is it hasn't been very well established, which is why you see new growth, whereas most of them already have the flower and they've already turned. But these guys over here is a little bit late. So you can see I've got new blooms over here trying to bloom. I mean, summer lasts such a long time. You can see I have so much more coming in. This is Pinky Winky. I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, it just doesn't do it for me. It's kind of blah. Like, this is how it is from when it kind of, well, it's whiter. These flowers are white. And then they turn this color. But then it never finished coloring pink. It just then goes to brown. So I'm not really, I don't know. I'll leave it there for another year. See how it does. But it doesn't wow me. The Panicle Hydrangea, they are beautiful. They wow me. The only problem I've got is, look over here. So I have some over here at the front of the house. And if they had retained that white color, I would have been even more wowed by them. You can see I still have some that have white. But eventually, instead of turning pink, they turn brown on me. Look at that. I don't know. That just looks shaggy, yucky to me when I look at it. It's dead. And I know a lot of people leave it on there because it provides fall interest. I don't know. To me, that doesn't look good. So I'm struggling. Sorry, that noise is not an animal being killed, but that's the Amazon Prime truck warning itself that it's backing up, I guess. I don't know why it makes that god-awful sound. But if you look here, I mean, the ones that are still white, it's beautiful. And I'm struggling if I really want to remove it, but it just kind of flops everywhere. It's not neat. But the hydrangeas are definitely something that's still pushing and still doing good. Like I said, I don't know why some of them are pushing out new growth, whereas a lot of them is dead and dying, like this one. But then I've got new ones coming in, see? And then it's going to go white like this. And it'll be beautiful just like this. Lots of this and some of this. So I might train some of them into tree form, plant them in the middle, grow something around it. That way, when it's in tree form, it's more structured. I think I'm more about structure in the front area. So I want this area to be more structured. Oh, here's what I wanted to show you. So I used to have lavender hedge growing along here. And then, as you can see, I had to remove them because it was retaining too much moisture and they started to develop root rot. But the Salvia seems to love this area where it retains the moisture, and they are annual, more annual than they are perennial. But depending on if I mulch well enough, I garden in zone 8A. If I mulch it high enough, it can salvage it and they might come back, but I don't chance that. So I take cuttings, I root them so that I have new one in the springtime in case they die. But I do leave them in the ground. If perchance they come back, great. If not, I'll have some. So I decided I wanted to transplant some salvia here. So you can see all along here, instead of the lavender, I'm going to have the salvia. So they're the purple bloom all along here. And over here, I watched a Jack Barnes video where he was doing the Mackinac Island tour, where they did purple and red together. Well, bluish, I guess, and red. And it's so beautiful, you guys, the color. So I thought I would try this, but I don't know. I don't like the Verbena. It's kind of everywhere. It's all over the place. I feel like it's not very structured. The Salvia is more structured for me. And then if you guys remember, I had a hedge of sedum over here, but the sedum developed root rot as well because it was too moist in this area. The funny thing is, look, I cut most of them back, but I didn't remove all the roots. So guess what's coming out now? Sedum. So now I've got sedum in between my coneflower, and here's the coneflower. They're starting to come back out, pushing new flower and growth. My roses are finally starting to look good, you guys. They looked fabulous in the spring, and I loved them. And then they got black spots. They got the Japanese beetle, and then the heat wave came in, and it was just, they were ugly, and I was like, I don't think I want my roses to be around this area, because this is the front of your flower bed. You want it to look nice and pristine pretty much year round. And they were struggling. I mean, they were struggling, and I was struggling with them. I couldn't decide what to do, but look at it. I left them in the ground, and now that it's starting to cool off, look at it. They're rewarding me. Look at the flower. Aren't they beautiful? Look at them. I mean, I've got new buds now that they're kind of free of insects for a little bit. Now they're flushing out and looking beautiful for me. Best all around, I have 2 roses. Miranda Lambert never disappoints me. And the Rio Samba, which I've done a couple video on them. This is another area where I left the lavender, as you can see, because this area is a little bit drier than the other side over here. So I left the lavender and I just planted the salvia next to them to see if they would be compatible and see how they go. The salvia is doing great flowering. The lavender is starting to push out again for a second growth before they go dormant. You can see though these 2 over here is struggling, but I'm just gonna leave it in there for now. Probably transfer it late fall. Look at the flower. This is my love rose, I believe, and they struggle. Like the springtime, they were fabulous, and then they struggled to no end, and now they are loving it again. So pushing out new growth. It's just they do a little bit better in cooler weather, and the Georgia 8A humidity just doesn't do much for them. That's a Miranda Lambert over there. Look at how many petals she has on this rose, you guys. Isn't that beautiful? Look at all those petals. I mean, that's so beautiful. And then this is the hydrangea, not hydrangea, the Miranda Lambert standard rose. I did a video on it where when I was inspecting them, I saw all those nasty caterpillar, and so I put the 7 powder on it, and look at it. Whatever happened to them, they either died or they went away or something, but look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It's pushing out new leaves. It's not struggling at all now, where, remember that last video I did where all those caterpillar was eating all the leaves? Ooh, that was a sight. And then, favorite of all favorite, my profile picture, Hearty Hibiscus, Midnight Marvel. This is going in, but aren't they beautiful? And again, same problem with leaf-eating little caterpillar bugs. But isn't it beautiful? So I almost contemplated about taking out all the roses and putting them in. I'm still contemplating it because they do well. They're still producing. Look, you get new buds. New buds are coming in right here. And here's another one right there pushing out. So they actually, once the heat hit, they do really well as long as you keep up with the spray to keep all those little nasty bugs from eating them. So Hearty Hibiscus, roses, hydrangea, look. So that's supposed to be a limelight, and a limelight. But for some reason, that one is supposed to be, that one's pretty mature, and so is that one. And they did not get to be 3 or 4 feet like some of my other ones. So I'm thinking that they're little lime. This one to me looks more like a limelight because of the structure, the growth, the flower. These ones are littler. The little lime has more of a smaller flowering structure, as you can see, than the actual limelight. So I think they probably mislabeled that. I got it from a nursery that you can tell it's not like your typical Pike's nursery where you know it's pristine. Some nursery, it's a little, oh, they're going to throw it in there. Hopefully you get what you get kind of thing. Over here, I'm trying to plant a little area where, since the big mophead hydrangea, the big leaf one, loves more shady area, and it's so hot, I thought I would try it around the tree. And they seem to be doing well. I mean, most of these were cutting, but they seem to be doing well. I didn't expect it to flower this year since they were kind of new and newly growth. But that one I got a little bit of a flower over here. But it's starting to wilt off. But it seems to be doing well, so I can't wait to see what that'll look like next year. And then I rooted some of my Japanese, they're flowering maple. Isn't it beautiful? I did a couple video on this. My most hit, I guess, video is the Abutalon. Sorry, it's kind of a tongue twister for me. It's the Abutalon, which is called like a Chinese lantern, because if you look at it, see if it's tipped like this, it looks like a little lantern, which is how they start. And then the more flower they get, they kind of stand up. Hummingbirds love this flower, you guys. So I rooted some over here. Some more. I might transplant these somewhere else, I'm not sure. But aren't they beautiful? And then here is one. For some reason, this one did not flower as well as those ones. But this is a bigger one that I trained into a tree form. This is the Abutalon too, the flowering maple. And then my Persian shield, it's going wild over here. Likes more shade. So if you guys want color in the shade, definitely go for the Persian shield. Look at it. I mean, it doesn't disappoint. The color, wow. It just pops out and it keeps on growing, you guys. It's crazy. It took over this whole lantern. And over here, it's starting to do the same thing over here. But this one, it gets a little bit more sun than over here. And I kind of planted this one after I saw how well it goes with a couple other things. I've got a coleus in here that I thought, since it has some of the purple tint, if this one would grow as big as the Persian shield, I thought the contrast would be really pretty. And then the elephant ear, of course, is doing good. Over here, I put the Persian shield, elephant ear, and then I decided to put in a lantana. But the lantana is going to require more light than the Persian shield and the elephant ear. So that combination is not going to do so hot. So I might have to change it. And then over here, Hydrangeas still doing great. Butterfly bush over here doing great. Vermillionaire doing great. So I have a lot of repeating flowers, things that I know work. This is my Confederate Rose. I have yet to see it bloom. This is the first year, and look at that. It's like, might as well be as tall as a tree. It's over 7 feet. I'm 5 and I'm about here on the tree. So it's probably another 2 or 3 feet. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's just all this year's growth. But I've yet to see flower. So once it flowers, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. But I'm not even sure what it looks like, because those are cuttings that I've gotten from somebody. Vermillionaire still doing great. Oh, and one other thing that's doing amazing is the Rose of Sharon, you guys. If you don't have any, I recommend. They're pretty hardy. Over here, can you see it? I'm gonna walk you straight to it. Oh, before I get carried away, here's something else that's doing great. Oh, what about these guys? Aren't they beautiful? This is the Rio Samba. They're pretty much spent. I had cut a whole bunch off, as you can see right here, to promote new growth. I mean, the more I cut, the more it blooms, you guys. This flower is so vigorous. I definitely, if you want to spend money on any kind of flower, I would recommend, if you garden in the same area zone as I do, I recommend this Rio Samba. I got this at Pikes Nursery. Sorry, Pikes Peak is in Colorado, which is originally where I'm from. But I got this at the Pikes Nursery, and I have not been disappointed. It was a little bit more than what I wanted to spend on a rose, but you know, roses are typically pretty expensive if you get a good quality one, and I have not been disappointed. From spring, like early spring, it has bloomed its head off until even now. I mean, I've had to cut all of these. Look, I had to cut this one, this one, this one, this one. All of them where you see there's a little nub, that's where I've cut because it has gotten to the stage where, like here, you know, they're spent. So I cut all those flower off, and then it sends out new shoots, like right here. And all of these new shoots are going to give me more flowers. I don't know what about this rose, but it loves to produce. It loves to perform. I definitely would recommend this flower. And it actually, so I saw another house that had it. And I was like, oh, that's a Rio Samba. Because it has all different kinds of color. Like the bud itself. Let's see if I can see a bud. So the bud itself comes out like a yellowish sunset color over here. You see it? And then it goes, once it blooms, it goes yellow. And then it goes yellow, orange to pink. It's hard to show you guys, but I have other video where you can see it. But this is the same rose. You see that yellow undertone? That's what it was. And then it just turns into this beautiful pink color. Of all the flowers I have, if I could afford one flower, I would get the rose. This Rio Samba. This is other plants that aren't in bloom, but this is my mango tree. It's sending out new shoots. Aren't they beautiful? Look at the color and the structure. And at first I thought it was, hey, you know, there's a deficiency. So I Googled it, and apparently mango, the leaves turn green, but when they first come out, if you can see it, look, it's like a multi-color system. And then they go yellow, and usually with yellow leaves you associate it with some kind of nutrient deficiency, but not so with mango. So I'm leaving it as is. I'm not going to treat it until it looks stressed. Right now there's like a bazillion new shoots coming out, so I think it's doing fine. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to do anything to it right now because I stressed out about it, so I had to Google a couple of videos on why my leaves are turning yellow on my mango, and I guess that's what they do. They start out like that, and then they get a little bit yellowish, and then they start to turn green. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm hoping by next year it will produce some fruit for me. Some more of my trees that I'm growing over here, they are fruit trees. And then the last thing that is a top performer, end of August, beginning of September, is your, drum roll please, this is the Rose of Sharon. Isn't she beautiful? This is a single leaf. It's not the double bloom one, but it's the single bloom one. Isn't she beautiful? And she'll just literally bloom her head off from summer all the way till now. And as you can see, it's even got more buds over there. Isn't she beautiful though? So if you want, you know, all summer interest, definitely go for Rose of Sharon, which is in the Hearty Hibiscus family. They last. Here is another one that I have over here. So actually this one I try to cut back because I wanted to have another flower bed, and this was a tree. So I cut back, and then I didn't dealt with it right off the bat, and lo and behold, here comes another bush. Another one I did the same. I cut it back because it was in a tree form. And this one is a different type. It's got some weird, like in the inside. See how the other one was just single leaf flower? But this one has an interior one. Isn't that beautiful? So dainty. Alright, and then over here, your typical Crepe Myrtle. Can't go wrong with Crepe Myrtles, you guys. But they're all over the south. This is a whole new area where I've got to work on. I might put a greenhouse over here. I'm talking to my husband about assisting me with putting a greenhouse right along here, so I can grow some fruit and so I can grow some vegetables all winter long. But I do have some fruit trees. I decided to go tropical. I have the mango, the guava, the Mayor's lemon, and 2 avocado trees. So those guys cannot go below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So I put them in a pot, and I have to take them indoor. But if I have a greenhouse, which I can put right along here once we clear up everything over here, then it'll be perfect. elephant ear, you guys. As big as my whole entire body. Look at that. Isn't she beautiful? Such beautiful plants. They don't flower, but hey, the structure itself is pretty amazing. And then back over here, I think this flowers, this is the limelight. See how big these are compared to the one in the front? So I think definitely for sure the one in the front is little lime. Because look at these guys' head. I mean, my hand is pretty small, but look at that compared to that. Isn't that beautiful? But you can see where they had some breakage right here. So then they send up new shoots, which is why some is white and some are green. And look, you guys, they're so beautiful and massive. You can cut them and bring them indoor for flower arrangements. You can spray them to whatever color you want, fall color, roses. I don't remember what kind these are. Aren't they beautiful? And then this crepe myrtle, you guys, when it actually blooms, it's beautiful. I'll definitely have to take a picture. But it's so beautiful when it blooms. And I think that's about it. I was trying to keep this video short and sweet, but it's definitely, when you're doing gardening video, you don't realize how much you have to show off before, and then the video is like 30 minutes long. Isn't that beautiful? Here's another one, but it's a black one. Monarch butterflies, you guys. Loving the butterfly bush. Isn't she beautiful? Look at her wings. And then there's this one. Whoop. And I think that is it, you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you're enjoying your garden. The weather is starting to be cooler. I cannot wait. I love my plants, but I think I'm ready for a little bit of a cooler weather than this hot and humid weather. Let's see where she's floating to. Look how beautiful the sky is, so blue. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.